Welcome to Gay Fairfax, a monthly video magazine sharing news, views, and pride. I'm Michelle Michaels.
And I'm Barry Forbes. Each month, we'll feature personalities and events of interest to the gay men and women in Fairfax County.
On this show, openly gay priest Jerry Anderson talks about religion and gays.
And we'll hear from some citizens in Fairfax County who express their views on the new school system's Family Life Education program.
But first, chances are someone in your family is gay. In fact, 1 out of 3 families has a gay child, sister, brother, or other family member.
This information is according to PFLAG. That's the Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. PFLAG promotes love and acceptance of gay family members and friends. In our first segment, members of PFLAG share some of their experiences with us.
Even in the closest of families and among the best of friends, the words "I'm gay" might come as a surprise. Upon learning that their son or daughter or friend is gay, many people are confused and upset, unsure who to turn to for information and support. Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays, PFLAG, is dedicated to promoting understanding and acceptance among loved ones of gays. Parents Flag of Metropolitan Washington, Inc., part of a 200-chapter international federation, serves hundreds of members in Virginia, Washington, D.C., Maryland, West Virginia, and Delaware. The group provides a helpline, workshops, a speakers bureau, a library, and support groups. PFLAG members find strength in each other's company, says Lori Coburn, mother of a gay son and the former spouse of a gay man.
I felt completely isolated and alone. It was very, very difficult. I thought that we were the only people in the world dealing with this situation, and it was totally unacceptable in the community in which we lived, and it was very difficult because we had to live with the secret, and in our family, on the inside of the family, we didn't want it to be a secret. We wanted to be honest about what was going on, but it was very difficult for the whole family outside of there because there wasn't a safe place to be.
Bob Bernstein is vice president of the Federation of PFLAG and the area chapter and editor of the Federation's newsletter. He has written many freelance articles expressing his belief in gay equality and in support of his gay daughter's orientation. Although many PFLAG parents are active in the fight for their children's rights, Bernstein explains that PFLAG is for everyone, not just activists.
As we get a mother who hasn't told her husband, they're afraid to tell the rest of the family, much less the neighbors or anybody they work with. These same people, a few years later, might be, marching in gay pride, might be talking on television, might be addressing coming out workshops or city council meetings for gay rights bills. The changes really, we've seen people go that whole route. Now, of course, a lot of people just aren't geared to activism, just aren't built that way, and are never going to be advocates in that sense. But many of the people who do come and are constantly there and supportive of other parents who have just learned and are going through that difficult stage, many of them can be particularly helpful to those new parents because they have been there and they know those feelings and they know the process that those new people are going through.
Justine Rowe, mother of a gay son and the family AIDS educator for the PFLAG Mid-Atlantic region, says many parents are concerned about the quality of life their child will have as a gay person in a straight and sometimes homophobic world.
I remember I got tears in my eyes when he told me, because in 1972 things were worse, much worse than they are today. And I wondered what kind of career he could have, what his life would be like with so many people who would not accept him. In my school, I had heard teachers talk about queers and fairies and dykes, and I thought, I don't want them talking about my son that way. I have 2 sons, and they are both beautiful, beautiful sons. And so I was upset for that reason. As far as his sexual orientation, that didn't disturb me because there's so many worse things that are things that are really bad that could happen to people. This is just a normal part of life.
Justine's son Gregory believes his mother's participation in PFLAG has not only helped her deal with the fact of his sexual orientation, but it has given him encouragement as well.
It's an inspiration, definitely, because I, dealing with, the personal issues of coming out, I had been preoccupied with that. And I had been somewhat politically active over the years, but when she took a very aggressive stance, it made me feel that I had to stand up for myself even more. It was definitely an inspiration.
When a gay person reveals his or her orientation to others, the experience can be difficult for all involved. PFLAG addresses the issues of coming out in workshops and literature. 17 years ago, Beverly Sutherland, now the chapter president of the area PFLAG, noticed that her daughter was troubled by something. She suspected drugs. Like many young gay people, Laura said at first she was afraid to come out to her mother.
I didn't believe it was terrible, but I knew other people did. I didn't ever think there was anything wrong with that, but I was very aware that other people did.
Laura says her mother's work in PFLAG has helped her keep a positive attitude.
To me, I feel like you gotta do it. I just hate to see people pretending they're not, making up lives, and I'm so incredibly proud of being gay, because I don't know, I'd rather be gay than straight.
For Anne, who asked us not to give her last name, PFLAG has been an education about her gay son's lifestyle.
I really have learned to not stereotype gay people. You can't put people into a box and say, well, all gay people are this way or that way or whatever. I've even found out that a lot of the big, strong guys with their leather are the sweetest people in the world.
Some would-be members are apprehensive to contact PFLAG, not sure what to expect. Coburn explains how she deals with calls to the office.
One of the things, for example, that I say is that Parents Flag has support groups, and we also do some work that is advocacy for our children's civil rights and our loved ones' civil rights, and that that they mustn't feel that they have to be advocates, that they can feel comfortable just coming for the support group, that we will keep their identity confidential, and that we will not push them out of the closet if they're in it before they're ready. I also talk to a lot of young people and encourage them to deal with the coming out process. And so many, come to me and say, oh, I wish my mom were like you people in Parents Flag. These are people who've already come out and it hasn't worked well for them. And I often find myself saying, give it time. That's sometimes what it needs. I've heard of people who took 14 years to come around and say, I love you for who you are. And young people don't want to give it that much time.
Many PFLAG parents do not have conflicts with their gay loved one's sexual identity, but are involved in the group to help others, as in the case of chapter president Beverly Sutherland.
We got thinking about the people who are really suffering, and I thought, well, it would help if they could see somebody who was not and never did, and maybe that would make them feel, well, it's really not so bad. So I started leading the Northern Virginia group, and from there went on to be on the Washington area chapter board, and now I'm president of the board. But I feel like what I'm doing is giving something back for the support that my daughter got from the gay community and from the support that we get. The gay community is really wonderful, the Parents Flag.
Whatever their role in PFLAG, the bond between members is love for the gay people in their lives. According to members, the beginning to better relationships and better lives is acceptance.
There's a step beyond acceptance. There's tolerance, then there's acceptance, and then I think there's celebration. When you get to the point where you can celebrate who your child or loved one is and wouldn't have that person any other way, then that's a wonderful place to be.
To find out more about PFLAG, call 439-FLAG or write PFLAG of Washington, Inc., P.O. Box 28009, Washington, D.C. 20038.
Jerry Anderson has strong convictions in both his personal life and his religious life. Not only has he come out of the closet to himself and to his family, but to his diocese as well.
You see, Jerry Anderson is an Episcopal priest, In our next segment, he shares his unique perceptions of himself, his life, and his faith.
Gay women have an easier role to hold because they are not, they are often seen as being attracted to the masculine and taking on the masculine. Well, that's not so bad, because your movement is toward the ideal, you know. Where for the gay man is seen as moving away from that masculine ideal, and that's what's forbidden.
Believer or not, religion affects our daily lives in many ways. Some are subtle and rewarding, others foster prejudice and hatred. Gays have caught vast amounts of this hatred as more religious zealots find followers to lead into a strict puritanical society where only those of the moral right have the answers. But while gays may be the scapegoats of the moment, anti-Semitism and racism are sure to follow. Enlightened members in the religious community have the opportunity to put religion in perspective. Jerry Anderson is one such pathfinder.
In places like Massachusetts, Newark, the Diocese of Newark, New Jersey, where the bishop just ordained the openly gay priest, in New York City, San Francisco, a little bit in Chicago, even, you might be interested to know, in a place in Virginia, without the bishop's knowledge, 2 or 3 that I know of in the Diocese of Washington would have been done very quietly up to this point. The Diocese of Syracuse in New York, same-sex unions are being blessed. Now, to one extent, the bishop knows, to one extent or another, the bishop has given approval, and it varies from diocese to diocese as to how public this is. But it is happening in the Episcopal Church. And I think we're going to continue to see this, even though officially it's being very heatedly debated. And the Episcopal Church still has not officially sanctioned the ordination of openly gay clergy, even though, as we know, many of us know, the Episcopal Church would close its doors if all the gay clergy, got up and walked out tomorrow. Whether we as a gay community really want to try to duplicate straight marriages. Do we need to do that? Certainly, what we think of as traditional heterosexual marriage has changed in terms of its understanding and what goes into making it a contractual arrangement over the centuries. It's not, always been the same. And perhaps we're talking about something that's different. I have a friend who is a fairly bright biblical scholar who wrote a paper on the whole concept of covenant relationships coming out of the Bible. And the covenant relationship that God established with the Hebrew people and with Noah and so on and so forth. And there are all sorts of examples in the Bible of a loving relationship being established with a sense of commitment that doesn't fall into the category of marriage necessarily. Judaism I see very much as like Christianity. I always think of sort of Reform Jews as sort of being the Episcopalians of the Jewish world, I always feel like Reform Jews and Episcopalians could change places very easily and they'd hardly know they'd changed views. The more conservative you get, the more, you're bent into interpreting Scripture very narrowly and old worldish. I think that's in many ways, to one degree or another, is what happens in religious circles today between us and people who are really closer to a small village in the Middle East in their understanding of human sexuality than they are to us. And I think a lot of people are just basically upset, frightened, and confused. And so they look for people to strike out at. And what better than a flamboyant gay, the target. And I think because people are so afraid of that shifting, ground that we're all on, the temptation is to look for victims, for people to blame, to project all of that scary stuff onto, and gays are catching it. I think in some ways what's happened today is that in our society, when homosexuality was not as openly discussed, and people weren't, it seems, quite as afraid of it, the kind of closeted gay people, the people whose sexuality was not really somehow openly identified and talked about, played very important roles as priests, as teachers, as the spinster aunt or the bachelor uncle who was able to do things for the younger generation without, I assume, undergoing a great deal of scrutiny or you know, kind of triggering paranoia. I think those roles are still roles there for some of us to play, many of us to play. But also, from another tack, I was speaking today with a 19-year-old guy who has AIDS at St. Agnes Girls' School here in Alexandria to a group of high school girls. And we there were touching upon how this 19-year-old boy, or man, young man, Ryan White, who died last week of AIDS, and a lot of other people who are living with AIDS today are becoming saintly, or they're becoming the saints and the real kind of spiritual giants in our midst. Not all of them, but a lot of them are growing, and they're you know, what's coming out of the mouths of babes or out of young people is incredibly far more mature than certainly what we used to associate with typical kind of gay you know, approaches to things, or far more mature than a lot of people in society today. So maybe AIDS is what is really causing us to find the spiritual depth that really plugs us back into an ancient spiritual tradition, whether we're talking about the Western Church, or we're talking about Buddhism, or whatever religious tradition we're talking about. There is, has always been those who have plugged into an incredible spiritual tradition. I am less and less aware of denominations or individual churches because AIDS has provided us with an incredible kind of mixture. And I now believe that the church has got to die. The institutional church has got to die. It is dying in many places. And it will continue to die. And the people who have still bought into the old kind of mindset and the old institutional hierarchical setups are going through terrible times, just horrible times. And they're going to continue to go through terrible times. But there are a lot of people who have given, as you have indicated, have given up that burden, that responsibility, and wonderful things are happening.
The state of Virginia recently mandated that all public school systems include family life education in their curriculum.
Recently, the Fairfax County School Board held a public hearing centering on the birth control and homosexuality portions of its proposed program.
Here are some highlights of those Fairfax citizens who voiced their opinions.
The Fairfax County School Board is required by the state of Virginia to include some form of family life education in the school curriculum. However, the topics of birth control and homosexuality has caused some controversy. So, on May 21st, the school board held a public hearing which attracted both supporters and detractors of the curriculum.
Just a few short months ago, I didn't know what FLE was. I read a letter to an editor of a newspaper which discussed how bad the program was, so I decided to find out for myself. I obtained a copy of the objectives and descriptive statements, and what I found was really a positive, well-thought-out program on sex education and health. Although in some areas I feel the program does not provide enough information to students, overall the program is a commendable one.
The curriculum on sexually transmitted diseases and AIDS taught everyone, including teachers, things that we'd never known before. And by learning these things, we were definitely not encouraged to go out and engage in sexual activities. Homosexuality was a unit that many adults did not seem to understand. What we learned is not going to make a person become a homosexual. Homosexuality is a feeling, not something that you can pick up on in half an hour to an hour of discussing it. A person is either a homosexual or they aren't. There's nothing that you can do or say to change that fact. Along with learning that, we learn not to stereotype people and not to make derogatory comments to another person that can hurt another person's feelings. What I'm saying is that by participating in this class, I learned how to be a kind person, how to lead a safe life, and most of all, how to stay healthy. All in all, I believe the county should do what is best for the youth of today and for the youth of tomorrow, to continue this program so that other people can grow up to lead happy and healthy lives.
The FLE program inadequately informs students that the law in fact provides some very important right and wrong guidelines with respect to sexual conduct. It is neither good education nor good legal advice to simply tell a teenager that forcible sodomy is against the law, thereby leaving the wrong impression that consensual sodomy is legal in Virginia. It is not. FLE, unfortunately, presents this impression.
This program focuses on ways to stop hatred, prejudice, and abuse against fellow human beings. With proper education, people's attitudes towards homosexuals and other minorities will not be the problem it seems to be today. Encouraging students to think critically after learning specific information from a reliable source is a gift we can give our children that they will use for a lifetime. Not giving them this opportunity is ignoring our responsibility as parents and educators.
I was reminded by this announcement of Abraham Maslow's work on sexuality, which preceded Alfred Kinsey's work on sexuality in the 1930s. Quote, "They seem confident that they are perceiving something, that they have vision. They are decisive, authoritative, and confident. Then all the 99% who are unsure and uncertain will follow along and defer, accept the opinion, even when it's crazy or distorted. So the homosexuals can set taste in art, fashions, music, and God knows what else, and I must add education."
My name is Elizabeth Goodman. I am 41 years old, a resident of Fairfax County for 30 years, and a lesbian. In fact, tonight I'm speaking to you on behalf of the Fairfax Lesbian and Gay Citizens Association, of which I am currently president. We are here tonight specifically in regard to the Family Life Education Program, and my organization would like to even more specifically speak in support of retaining the portion of that curriculum that pertains to homosexuality. We of the Fairfax Lesbian and Gay Citizens Association would like to applaud this effort by the Fairfax County School Board to step out of the dark ages and into a new era of understanding and rational thinking. Having been educated in Fairfax County from elementary through high school myself, I can certainly attest to the excellent quality of the academic education I received. But unfortunately, in the 50s and 60s when I attended school, no attempt was made to educate the youth of the county regarding sexuality, self-esteem, or other important personal issues that are necessary in preparing a young person for success in the adult world. Of course, this was the climate of the times all over the country in those days. As a result, however, many of us in my age group suffered through unhappy, ill-fated marriages, sexual repression, lowered self-esteem, and a general feeling of unidentified emptiness as we struggled to fit in and become heterosexual as we were expected to be. It is not, in fact, being gay or lesbian that is unnatural or wrong. It is being forced into a heterosexual role, which is against your nature, that is wrong. The opposition, as it were, has nothing to fear from homosexuality being presented in our FLE. In fact, those who would discriminate or slander gays and lesbians have nothing to fear from us in general. We are no threat to the all-American family. All of us were, for the most part, raised in just such families with just such values. Most of us as adults have continued those values and are responsible, respectable professionals who pay taxes in this county and elsewhere. One more fact. The majority of gay and lesbian adults have the same healthy interest in establishing, developing, and maintaining a monogamous, lifetime relationship with another consenting adult that do heterosexual adults. Many of us are fortunate enough to be involved in just such a loving and committed relationship. Don't we owe it to the lesbian and gay youth now attending our schools to present them with these facts, with these positive role models? Don't they have the right to discover their innate emotional and physical feelings in an environment of support and enlightenment? The facts are very simple. My message on behalf of all the lesbian and gay residents of this county, indeed perhaps of the country, is this: homosexuality is not a disease or a crime. It is not a threat to society or a perversion. Young people cannot be converted or taught how to be gay or lesbian. It is divine by nature. They can be taught, however, to repress their true feelings and their needs and become frustrated, unhappy adults. Or they can be supported in finding themselves as they were created, be that gay or straight, in a positive way, such as a well-balanced program like FLE can afford. The members of the Fairfax Lesbian and Gay Citizens Association are concerned about the future of our youth. We look to the members of the school board, indeed to the entire community, to take the lead on this issue. We trust we can count on your enlightened and intelligent leadership. We pray that the future generations will have the information to begin breaking down stereotypes and barriers between different kinds of people. Truly educate them, give them that chance. Thank you so much.
3 days after the public hearing, the school board voted unanimously in favor of keeping the birth control and homosexuality portions of the program within family life education.
The Gay Fairfax team would love to feature your organization or your upcoming event on a future program.
Write to us at Gay Fairfax, care of FLGCA, Post Office Box 2322, Springfield, Virginia 22152, or call us at 451-9528.
The next edition of Gay Fairfax will feature an interview with members of SMILE, the Sexual Minority Youth Assistance League.
We'll also feature former U.S. Congressman John Hinson in his address at the annual meeting of Virginians for Justice.
So be sure to join us next month. For Gay Fairfax, I'm Michelle Michaels.
And I'm Barry Forbes. Remember to keep the pride alive.